Hey there, Mike again with the 66 bus. I recently had a problem that I was troubleshooting, and it came down to being the timing, so I thought I would do a video on that. But basically, I'll describe what was happening. I was driving, there's a pretty new engine in it, and what would happen is I would just get a sort of a sputter on the engine, and it's almost like all the cylinders would stop firing just for a brief second, almost like it was missing. And then that progressively got worse over the course of about 3 or 4 days, where the engine died twice. It just cut out. And so I pushed in the clutch and I was still coasting, and I could kind of get it to start if I really kind of let out the clutch again, or if I used the starter. And so it seemed to me like it was like fuel starvation. But I Googled it, and it was like, okay, it's one of maybe three things, probably 3 or 4 things. A lot of people have like rust in their fuel tank, and the filter starts to clog things up, and so that could be fuel starvation in that way. Or the fuel filter, which is, let's see, this little guy right here could get filled with the junk that's coming through from your fuel tank, or the pump is bad. Like, I know there's some issues with the length of the rod for these mechanical fuel pumps, or something just wrong with the fuel lines or in the carbs. So I have these dual carbs here, and it's possible that something was clogged in there, the jetting or something like that. Or the timing was just way off. So the first thing I did is I took this guy off, and it was totally clean. It had like nothing but fuel in it. There was no junk, no nothing. So the second easiest thing, before I started messing to see if I had any junk in the bottom of the fuel tank, was to basically check the timing. So I had done the timing myself before, so I thought, well, why would anything be wrong? I replaced my points with the electronic. See if you can see in there. It's the electronic points, which is that little gadget in there, and it has the. Let's see, I can pull this off. So it looks like this. It's very simple to replace your points with just this electronic timing, and it's just like hooks up the 2 wires. It's great. I snap this back into place so that it's good. So with the electronic timing, that is to say, the electronic points. Let me put this back on here. Basically, at idle, you want 7.5 degrees of advance, and then at 3,000 RPM, you want 25 to 30 degrees of advance. So what I have here is I have this mark right here is my top dead center, and this is sort of another little tiny mark, which is like the opposite. And so what I did was then check the timing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use these things. I'm going to set this guy up. This will tell me when, obviously idle is easy, but when you're at 3,000 RPM, I can find that exactly. And I'll hook that up by connecting this to the coil and these to the battery. And then I've got this, which is my timing gun. This does a little strobe light. You put this around your number 1 cylinder's spark plug wire, and you put these on the battery. So what I'm going to do is, and probably the sound won't work once I turn on the engine, so what I'm going to do is turn on the engine. I'm going to connect these guys up. Well, I guess I can connect these guys up now already. So I put black, obviously, black to there, the red one on to the battery. That's my timing gun. And I take this guy and I'm gonna stick this on the number 1 spark plug wire right here. Make sure these wires don't get in the way of your fan belt, as well as this one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, which is my analyzer, and I'm gonna connect the black one again here, connect the red one in here, and I've got my tools set up. All I need to do is connect this guy to my coil. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off, set up my tripod, and then get this thing timed properly. So, on the timing gun, let's see, I've got here, if you can see it, this is the advance, and so what I'm going to do is at idle, I want it to be at 7,500, which is about right there, and then at 3,000 RPM, I want it to be right in here, which is just below 30, somewhere around 25 to 30. So what I'm going to do is, you'll see when the engine's on, it'll be noisy. I'm going to first do it idle right here, and then I'm going to make sure I'm going to use my throttle here, pushing this down, looking at this engine analyzer to see when it's at 3,000 RPM. Then I'm going to make sure that it is at just under between 25 and 30. All right, let's start this engine up. Okay, so you can see my idle. Well, it's registering like 500 RPM. So at idle, I want this guy to be at, I'm gonna put it just above about 8. And then you can see, I want this mark to be right at the top. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna get my 10 millimeter. So now I can adjust my timing by rotating this. So now when I look, my strobe, you can see it's just about right. Move it back just a little bit. There we go, it's right at the top. So at idle, it's right at right there at the middle. And now, at 3,000 RPM, I want it to go up to, see if you can see that. So as I turn this up, you can see now it's way over there to the side. So now I'm gonna go up to 3,000 RPM and see how this looks. Was perfect. Right there, right in the middle. Oh, actually I need to put this up a little more. That'll go up to. And there we go. So that's the timing is done. So that means, let's see, that means we have 7.5 or 8 degrees of advance at idle, and we have about between 25 and 30 degrees of advance when you rev it up to 3,000 RPM, and that's because you have to ignite the gas early because of how fast the engine is spinning. So it advances, and those electronic points have been great so far. No issues with that, and that tried it out earlier. That resolved the issue where the engine was sputtering, and basically I was losing power, and eventually it had stalled. So now I don't have to worry about opening up and looking at the gas tank filter or any of that. Another aside, because my fuel system, I had basically I put in a I'll show you here. I put in a underneath here, let's see if you can see it. See right there, I put in a shutoff valve when I upgraded the fuel tank to be a let's see if you can see it. Upgraded the fuel tank to be a 15-gallon fuel tank from the 10 gallons. And basically what I did when I did that, because I kept taking the engine out and doing various things, and what was really useful was to actually put in this little shutoff valve there right after it comes out of the fuel tank. So I can take that and basically I can shut it off like by turning that little red lever. So that was the timing and possible fuel issue that I was trying to fix, and it fixed it. So that's the video. I will do another one as soon as I have another problem to address. All right.